Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mark, and thank you, friends. Let's take a breath together. Closing our eyes, coming back to our bodies, coming back to right here, right now. Just that. Just what's palpable in this moment. Our bodies, our breath, our heart. Closing your eyes if you can, and if it's not comfortable, you can gaze softly down. Welcome, friends. Thank you for being here. I want to share with you, before we go into our meditation, what's going on for me in this moment. The sun is setting. It's very graceful here. I'm in Tel Aviv. Very quiet. There's a blue sky becoming paler and set a little yellow and pink towards the horizon, and I hear birds, and there is silence, and I feel fear. I'm scared. I can feel my heart. I can really feel it, like this fear that David HaMelech was talking when the night was falling, kind of something really primal. It's been a couple of nights here that we've had, as you may know, rocket attacks during the night and in the middle of the night, at the beginning of the night and in the middle of the night, and being awakened by sirens early in the middle of the night a few times, having to run down, like barefoot in a shelter. And it's quite strange, this experience of this quiet and grace and beauty, because where I am right now, it's very quiet. There are mobs in different parts of the city, in Yafo and etc. But here it's quiet, and there is this beauty, and I know that anytime, just anytime, it may ring. And I'm sharing this with you, one, because it's important for me to share with you where I'm at in this moment, just as Mark so beautifully invites us to do at the beginning of every sit, right? Checking in with ourselves, with our body, with our feelings. The spiritual practice is all about connecting to the truth of this moment. So it's very important to start by acknowledging the truth of this moment. So I want to share the truth of my moment, because it's a bit more intense today. And the second reason why I'm sharing this with you is because if an alarm comes right now, happens during our time, I will have to leave, and Mark will take over and lead you for the rest of the meditation. And I'm happy we're doing this, because it's our way of saying we're continuing. We keep doing our thing. We keep doing our thing. And it was very important for me to take that decision to just keep doing what we're doing, and to feel that we're together in this, and that if I have to leave, then Mark is here for you. So I wanted to share that with you, friends. Let's take a breath together. And these are moments where the notion of the eternity of the present moment becomes even more real and meaningful. And this moment feels eternal for me, this moment of quiet and grace. And it is eternal. So I want to invite you to connect to the eternity of the moment in your own body, wherever you are right now, wherever you're sitting, to allow your body to come to a place of stillness. And if you need to adjust your posture to make yourself comfortable, do so. Do whatever you need to. Stretch if you need to. Anything you need to do so that your body can come into place and find its stability, like a tree, like a rock. Because from a still body, and we can start going inside more and more, and then the mind and the heart are going to become stiller also. But as long as there is movement on the outside, it's more difficult to come to stillness in the inside. So finding our stillness, connecting to our heart, feeling our own heartbeat. And from within, connecting to the heartbeat of each other. Attuning ourselves, our bodies, our souls. This is really what's kept Israel together through diaspora and through so many challenges. That even if the bodies are spread into space, there's something about the soul and the heart that's one. And so the words that came to mind today when we started sitting were Ine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam beyachad. How good, here it is, how good and pleasant it is for brothers to sit together, to sit also together. Not just alone, but also together. Let's take a moment of quiet before we go into our learning for today. Each of us with our own breath. And one giant breath across continents. So today we're connecting to the energy of Netzach, Shebemalchut. And it just felt so right on. It just felt so appropriate today for me to connect to Netzach. Netzach, which is endurance, victory, this quality of sustainability, of repetition, of practice, really. To me, Netzach in general really speaks to what spiritual practice and what any practice is in general. Success, victory through endurance, through repetition, through practice. And through the ups and the downs, it really takes Netzach, it really takes endurance to prevail. And I actually want to share with you, today I received a beautiful message. I'm part of a group of inhabitants of Jerusalem who are Jews and Israelis and from the diaspora and Christians and Muslims and Arabs. And one of them sent a message today using this word Netzach to say that Jews and Arabs will win together, and calling for peaceful protests, like peaceful gatherings in every city of Israel right now. And I found it really beautiful. So Netzach Shebemalchut, and first of all, connecting again to this energy of Malchut, which is nobility, which is a feminine quality actually. Malchut is a feminine Sphira, that corresponds to Shekhinah, the feminine aspect of God. And this nobility and the qualities associated with it, the stability, the strength, the endurance also, the grace, the compassion, the greatness of a queen, really, of a queen. Whether we're a man or a woman, this is the feminine aspect within each of us. This queen, and this queen can reign, can be victorious because of endurance, because of practice. And I wanted to share with you, so we'll go into our learning now, and we'll start with Mishle, one of my favorite Jewish wisdom really sayings, saying from Mishle that says, Kisheva yipol tzaddik, because the tzaddik can fall 7 times. Vikam. And he gets up. And that to me really, really embodies endurance, netzach. That no matter how many times we'll fall, we can get up. We'll get up. And that's the tzaddik. The tzaddik is the one, not the one who doesn't fall, but the one who, when he falls, he gets up. And I feel that this is what's happening in Israel. This is what's happening in this country. We get up. Thank you so much. And what I wanted to learn with you today is something so beautiful from Likutei Moharan, the teachings of Rabbi Nachman. We're talking about the notion of Esther Panim. In difficult times, Jews and especially Hasidim have this concept, talk about this concept of Esther Panim, the hiding of the face of God. You know, we have this idea that when things are going well, it's as if we're receiving the blessing that we say in the Birkat Kohanim, in the priestly blessing every day. Ya'ir Hashem panav elecha. May God shine its face upon you. And that in difficult times in history, Jews felt sometimes that the presence of God was hiding itself from them, was concealing itself. And sometimes, like right now in times of fear, whether you're in Israel or not, you may feel fear and insecurity and uncertainty and vulnerability. This is a time of Esther Panim for some. And here he's sharing a very beautiful teaching, which actually ends up connecting to Malchut. And he's talking about this other concept that there's a very famous Hasidic song, Ve'afilu be'astara. Ve'afilu be'astara, shebetoch hastara, בוודאי גם שם נמצא השם יתברך. I don't know if you know this song, but it's coming from his teaching actually. So he says, אבל באמת, אפילו בכל ההסתרות, ואפילו בהסתרה שבתוך הסתרה. So that's the song, right? So even in all the concealments, and even in the concealment that is within the concealment. And we'll talk about what this means in an instant. The concealment within the concealment. בוודאי גם שם מלובש השם יתברך. God is enclosed there also, of course. כי בוודאי אין שום דבר שלא יהיה בו חיות השם. Because there is nothing that doesn't have inside of it the life of God, the life force of God. Meaning in everything there is the life force of God, even if it's really, really hidden. But then he's going to talk about hastara, shebetoch hastara, the concealment of concealment. And he's giving such a beautiful definition of it. He's saying that basically the concealment of the concealment, it's when actually we don't even know that something is concealed from us. Right? דהיינו, שההסתרה בעצמה נסתרת. That the concealment in itself is hidden. שאינו יודע כלל שהשם יתברך, שאינו יודע כלל שהשם יתברך נסתר ממנו. That someone doesn't even know that God is hidden from them. And that's what I call unconscious, being unconscious. And the way he continues is, he said, what's the consequence of this is when things become turned upside down. When you actually end up thinking that what is bad is good. And that's the unconsciousness that I see in people, no matter what side they're coming from, who end up harming others. And often in the name of religious values, which we see here on both sides in this country. Yesterday there were Jews being beaten up by Arabs and Arabs being beaten up by Jews in different parts of the country. And oftentimes, in the name of their God and their religion. And here, Rabbi Nachman is talking about this, and he's not about this, but he's talking about this phenomenon of becoming unconscious. Not even astara shebastara, the concealment of concealment, is when we don't even know that we don't know that God is hidden from us, and then everything becomes upside down, the good and the bad. And this is what I wanted to share with you. And here is the remedy he gives for that. I'm trying to go down on the sheet. Can we move forward in the sheet, please? Thank you so much. To the second sheet. Yeah, to the last one. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. So here is the answer, the solution, the tool that he's giving. He's saying, Al ken tzarich legalot ha'astarot hanal. We need to reveal the concealments that we talked about above. וזה על ידי שממשיך אריכות ימים לתוך המלכות. Two things here are very important for me. The first is that he says we need to reveal the concealed. And to me, reveal the concealed is what we do when we meditate. When we meditate, we bring the light of awareness on our inner lives. We bring light, the light of consciousness to the unconscious. So we reveal what is concealed. We bring more consciousness to ourselves and therefore to our actions and therefore to the world. And how do we do that? By continuing. Arichut yamim, the length of days, it's a way here of talking about endurance, actually, of continuing day after day, time. This endurance of malchut, isn't that beautiful? I was just looking for something about astara, and then I'm seeing that in this source he's talking about malchut, actually. So this is our learning for tonight, friends, and our inspiration, this teaching from Rabbi Nachman, and we'll take a few minutes to meditate with this today. So let's take a breath, a beautiful breath. And a deep, long breath out. Again, finding our place, finding a pose or stability or ease. And just being there with our own bodies, just shedding the light of consciousness. Just that, by observing our thoughts. We'll do that for the next 6 minutes. Just that. Just being with what is. And letting the process happen by itself. Of gilui, hastarot, of revealment of the concealed things. Connecting to our body, to our breath as an anchor. So that when thoughts come, we can just welcome them, bring the light of our awareness on them, saying, oh, I see you, and I welcome you. And then going back to the body, just that. In this very practice, we're embodying both Netzach and nobility, Malchut. Netzach by endurance, by continued practice. It's keeping going back to our anchor, to observing the thought, coming back to our real presence and not in the daydream. Physical present in this moment. Presence. And Malchut, which is the nobility of our own posture. Sitting tall, being anchored and grounded and stable like a queen. and still and dignified, like a queen. Allowing all the thoughts to pass, all the storms of thoughts and emotion, but not moving, not being moved, like a queen. Coming to full presence for the last minute of the seat. And maybe wondering in our own lives today, how will it look like to embody Netzach, endurance, and Malchut, nobility? Because it doesn't have to be grandiose as the war in Israel. It's about our very lives every day. How do we behave? How do we experience ourselves and others in life? In the big and small actions of every day. And in the midst of things as they are, before we move into Kaddish, I want to invite us to take a moment to express gratitude for what we have. Because I opened this session by complaining in a way about the sirens and rockets and stuff, and I want to express gratitude for the sirens that warn us that something is coming, and the Iron Dome that protects us, and the shelters that protect us, and internet that connects us, and IGS that holds this beautiful place, and Mark that opens the space and welcomes everyone so warmly and beautifully each day. Thank you, friends. Moving towards Kaddish.
Thank you, Mira. Friends, we seal our practice, as we always do, with the words of the Kaddish, and invite those of you who are mourning or observing a yard site, if you're holding someone in your heart today, if you have grief, if you're mourning, invite you to rise in body or in spirit and join me in the words of the Kaddish. Yitkadal, Yikadash, Shene Rabbah,
Amen.
V'yama Divra
Ve'amat
Hirutei,
Divra Hirotei Ve'amlik
V'yamlich
Malchutei
Malchutei, V'chaye Chon, V'yamei Chon, V'chaye B'chol Beit Yisrael,
Beit Yisrael
V'agalah
Agala
V'sman
Bisman
Karim,
Karim
V'meiru.
V'merav
Amen.
Amen. Yehei
Yehei
Shmei
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 Rabba
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 Mevarach,
Mevarach
Olam
Olam
Pone
Pone
Amaya,
Yisbarach
Yitbarach
Yishtabach
V'yitabach
Ba'ar
V'Chaman
V'Traman
V'Nasi,
V'Nasi
Hadar
Yitzhakar
V'Talel,
Yitalel
V'Talal
V'Talal Shmei
Shemei
Kudusha
Kudusha
Riku
V'Richu,
Richu.
La'ela Mikol
Le'elam Mikol
Bechorata
Bechortam Shirata
V'Shviata,
Tu
Tu
Shechata
Shechata
V'Nekamata Damiran
V'Nechamata,
Dimra Amen
Dimra Ba'alma
Amen.
Yehi Shlama
Amen.
Rabba Min Shemaya
Yehi Shlama Rabba
Inu
Min
Kol
Shemayah.
Israel
V'chaim Aleinu V'Yal
Amen
Yisrael.
Say
Amen.
Shalom Bimrama
Asher Shalom
Uyase
B'Rama.
Alenu
Yaseh
V'Yal Kol
Shalom.
Israel
Aleinu
Imru
V'Yal Kol
Amen
Yisrael. V'Yal Kol Yoshvei Tevel. Imru.
Amen.
Amen.
Friends, thank you for being here today. Thank you, Mira. Looking forward to some conversation with you, Mira, if you're able to stay on for a few minutes, and those who are able are invited to to stay on for questions, reflection on this beautiful practice today, just to maintain the connection for a few more minutes. And thank you so much to Deborah Lefkowitz for sponsoring our practice today in memory of your father, S. Michael Schatz, Zichrono Livracha. His memory be a blessing. Thanks to Adi Stein for holding our space container across time and space here with grace and skill. And for those who need to leave now, I want to invite you to join us again tomorrow for practice with Cantor Louise Treitman to seal our week of practice of Malchut, of our Omer practice. The Omer, of course, continues through Sunday, and then Sunday night is Shavuot comes in. We will not be sitting on Monday and Tuesday. Be back next Wednesday. I'm delighted that Rabbi David Ingber of Romamu will lead us in practice next Wednesday. Hope you'll join us then. And for those who are leaving now, we wish you an early Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach, and hope you are well and safe, and that we'll see you soon. I also do want to I'm putting in the chat box a link to a prayer by our dear friend and colleague, Rabbi Sam Feinsmith, a prayer for Shalom, one of many, of course, of beautiful prayers that have been written that I wanted to share. Didn't have time to include it today, but it's fine. I think if people read it, hopefully you will find it meaningful and expressive, something Sam wrote, I think 7 years ago. Mira, you were right. Netzach Sheba Malchut is just kind of what the doctor ordered, right? And I'd love to play a little bit of, you sang it beautifully, and you could sing it too, but maybe it would be nice just to hear a little bit of Afilu Sheba Hastara. So I'm going to play that for a few minutes at the end, because there might be a lot of people who are not familiar with that. It's beautiful. And I know your teacher and my teacher and friend, Malila Hellner, introduced it to us at IJS, to the clergy a few years ago, and then showed all these videos of it being sung in all these different settings, secular settings and Haredi settings. So that teaching, for you, so it's even in the concealment, and even in the concealment of the concealment, there is God. Right? Ani Omed, I'm there. You led us beautifully in that practice. Like, can you just like, and you started, and then you apologized at the end. You started by complaining, which I don't think any of us experienced as a complaint about the sirens and the distract, what's going on, what reality that is happening right now. And I'm wondering if that, as an example of what it means to apply this practice, oh, there's a siren, whatever, like if you could take us through, like, how do you apply that practice for yourself in the midst of what you're going through right now? Like,
Wow.
what is the hastara? What is the hastara of the hastara? It's a struggle. It's not, this is obviously, the practice sounds simple, but not easy.
No, of course. So first of all, I just want to say I'm just seeing this very little small crescent of moon, the tiniest in the sky. It's gorgeous. I'm just seeing it. So there is hastara, and then there is hastara shebetor hastara. And hastara is in a way external. It's when the world seems dark and scary, right? And then how to keep emunah, trust that God is here, which is a very recurrent thing we see in the Tehillim. That's hastara. And then hastara shebetoch hastara is the concealment that's within the concealment, right? And Rabbi Nachman explains it so beautifully. And as many Hasidim do, he brings it to an individual level. He brings it to the individual's own responsibility. It's when I don't even know that I don't know, when I'm unconscious. It's not that God seems hidden from me in the world outside. Is within me. The presence of God is hidden and I don't even know it. And that's unconscious. And I'll tell you how it plays out for me in an everyday life and in this situation, because this is your question.
Right.
First of all, I feel very lucky again, because given the circumstances, I'm very privileged. But the way I address what's going on is really, and that's really the practice, is to be in the present. And even if a couple of hours ago I was down in a shelter and hearing booms with things falling, right now I'm safe. Right now I'm fine, and things are fine, and looking at what's there and what's fine. That's my practice. That is my practice. And then, like we say in Hebrew, lizrom, like to really go with the flow of what happens. And that when things seem dark outside, and when I feel that there is a hester panim, let's say with fear and maybe temptations of despair and the feeling of vulnerability of the state and of Israel, and etc. That's the first level of hastara. Connecting to taking a step back, taking more distance, taking a lot of distance on the events, and remembering everything that Israel went through since its very creation, all the wars, all the dangers, all the vulnerability, and just overcoming, really nitzachon, overcoming things. And also the Jewish people taking us, that's the hastara. And then the hastara shebetoch hastara, it's more difficult for me. When I look at people being violent, and I'll tell you, this is very personal, and I hope, I apologize in advance if it's shocking anyone here, but it's even harder in a way for me when I hear that Jews have been very violent and attacking Arabs, and, because it's my people, and I feel we have a responsibility, and if we want to embody certain values, we can do better. And so that's difficult for me, just like it's difficult for me to realize, because it's always, when I am unconscious, my whole practice is to be less, to bring more and more consciousness in my life, right? But sometimes I am still unconscious, and I always realize that after the fact, right? And that's the hastara shebetoch hastara, is when I don't know. And my practice is when I realize after the fact, is actually to bring compassion, and to go back to practice, to bring more light again and again and again, and to understand that I'm not God. There is a force of life. There is a force of God in me, just like Rabbi Nachman says, but I'm not God. And so I'm not perfect. And so I still have zones of darkness and unconsciousness within me. And I have to forgive myself for that. And my practice is to come back to practice, to shed more light.
So just to put a point right on that, the concealment of the concealment is not being aware of our unconsciousness.
Yeah.
And say, it's a little bit like Yaakov when he falls asleep and wakes up, right? And says, "Oh, God was in this place and I didn't know it," right? That's that moment of waking up, and rededication. So it feels like to get entangled with the details of the sphere road feels like not what the moment is calling for. However, just to be clear, that the netzach there is the persistence in still like the knocking at the consciousness to wake up, right? And then the malchut is the awareness of. I think it's not necessarily so clear to everybody. Malchut, another name, of course, is Shekhinah, divine presence. So it's really about waking up to presence when we are unaware of presence, and we're unaware of our unawareness of presence. That's what I'm getting from you, and having a lot of self-compassion for that, right? As human beings, which you model so beautifully, I'll say.
At least it's my practice.
That's why they call it practice.
Yeah.
Never. One day we'll get it. Oh boy. There was one question that had to do with Heschel. I feel like anything that gets us into our heads right now is not really the way to go, but let's see. Heschel observes that God isn't hidden, but hiding, that as God's essential nature is not to be concealed. Concealment is a temporary state, and it's as much us hiding from God as God hiding from us. Back to Gan Eden, right?
Yeah.
Who's doing the hiding, right?
Exactly. And I think when Erica is mentioning us hiding from God, it's that's the astara shebetoch astara, and I think that's the hardest for all of us. And here again, it's important to go down from the sublime spheres and these kind of like meta symbols of Malchut, to just go down to the tachles, to the pragmatics of our everyday lives. We all have our zones of darkness, our zones of unconsciousness, our zones are, like of, oh, I did it again. I did that again, and I didn't see it coming, and it just happened, and I should know better. And that's astara shebetoch astara is, by definition, as long as we're being acted, as long as we're unconscious, we're going to act out, and then we're going to realize after the fact, and it's going to be more and less painful. And really, again, the invitation is to continue bringing presence, legalot, continuously bring presence. And that's why really meditation and mindfulness is not just formal sitting meditation, is really bringing mindfulness to our everyday actions. And the more we shed light, the more we are going to act in the world from a place of consciousness, from a place of light and of kindness, and not see ourselves again thinking, oh, I did it again,
Yeah. And so let's end it there. Is it okay if I play a little music?
Please.
Let's let that wash over us, to sit with this beautiful teaching for a few minutes at the end, just for 3 minutes. So share the English translation on the screen.
Thank you so much.
And let's just sit for a few minutes. And Mira, before we do, just want to let you, I hope you can feel the presence of this circle with you. It is really a miracle that we can connect, at least in this way. But I hope you can feel as if we were all sitting there literally with you, where you are.
I do, and I also really want to honor the pain of those who are far, because I think it can be really hard to be far.
Yeah.
It can be really, really hard. And I'm also here for you guys. We're here for each other.
Here we go.
אבל רבי נחמן מסביר, ואפילו בהסתרה שבתוך ההסתרה בוודאי גם שם נמצא השם יתברך, ואפילו בהסתרה שבתוך ההסתרה, בוודאי גם שם נמצא השם יתברך, ואפילו בהסתרה שבתוך ההסתרה, בוודאי גם שם נמצא השם יתברך, ואפילו בהסתרה שבתוך ההסתרה, בוודאי גם שם נמצא השם יתברך. אוי אוי אוי, גם מאחורי הדברים הקשים העוברים עליך, אני עומד, אני עומד, אני עומד. גם מאחורי הדברים הקשים העוברים עליך, אני עומד, אני עומד, אני עומד. אוי אוי אוי, גם מאחורי הדברים הקשים העוברים עליך, אני עומד, אני עומד, אני עומד. גם מאחורי הדברים הקשים העוברים עליך, אני עומד, אני עומד, אני עומד.
ואפילו בהסתרה שבתוך ההסתרה, בוודאי גם שם נמצא השם יתברך.
Ano Amtim Imachem. We're with you too, Mira. Okay, thank you so much, Mira, for leading us and for modeling Netzach Sheba Malchut so beautifully for us and inspiring us to do the same with whatever challenges and hardships come our way, as they do, to persist and to know with our hearts, with our bodies, with our souls. Thank you, everyone. Hope to see you tomorrow. Many blessings.